World War II saw the widespread use of tanks across all theatres of war. These steel beasts acted as mobile fortresses in the face of enemy fire, constantly being called upon into some of the toughest situations on the battlefield. Tank crews needed to remain cool, calm and collected, even when shells were hitting the hull of the tank around them. But just how bad was day-to-day life inside a tank? In this video, we'll explore the harsh realities of tank warfare during World War II, drawing from first-hand accounts of those who served inside these metal workhorses. If you enjoy this video and want to see more, hit the subscribe button. Tanks were a crucial component of all military forces during World War II, from the scorching heat of North Africa, to the freezing cold temperatures of the Eastern Front, to the humid and jungled Pacific Islands. Tanks were used for various purposes, including infantry support, reconnaissance, and breakthroughs in enemy lines. However, these machines were far from perfect. They were prone to mechanical failure, and getting stuck in mud or sand was a common issue. For the most part, regardless of the size of the tank or the country they fought for, experience for the crew was much the same. Let's take a moment to hear what life was like inside a tank, from World War II veteran Barry Batt, who served in an armoured regiment during the war.
Well, as I said, the gunner was on a seat which was elevated, was up and down to take the size of whoever the gunner was. The loader operator stood on the other side of the gun. You got the loader operator there, the muzzle out there, and the gunner here, and on the back of the gunner's seat was a footstep, and the troop commander could look over either through a periscope or through an open hatch. I had a periscope sight, so I could see, but it was offset and blew it back and killed the driver. Whereas my gunner one was offset, whether it was machine gun ammunition or 3-inch howitzer or armour-piercing and other tanks.
The life of a tank crew was grueling, both physically and mentally. Inside a tank, space was limited, with little room for movement. The noise inside the tank was deafening, with the roar of the engine, the clanging of metal, and the constant chatter of the radio. The heat generated by the engine was intense, making the interior of the tank feel like an oven. In contrast, the tank's metal shell made it freezing cold in the winter. The temperature changes between inside and outside the tank could be drastic. Tank engines were notoriously unreliable and often leaked oil and fuel, which added to the already toxic atmosphere. In relation to the engines, it's important to note that some tank engines ran on diesel while others ran on petrol. Those that did run on gasoline posed a far greater risk to the crew. The Sherman tanks of the US Army, for example, ran on gasoline, which is significantly more flammable than diesel. This left the crew with a very limited time to exit the tank if hit. For example, this is an image of the cramped driver's position in a German Tiger tank. Commanders in some tanks had the opposite and would be required to stand for hours on end. Some commanders would need to expose their heads to gain more vision or direct the tank for more accuracy. Crew members were often on duty for long stretches and had to try to sleep while the tank was moving, which was next to impossible due to the noise and vibration. In normal downtime, the crew would all sleep together outside the tank under a tarp or similar to protect from the elements. Although they were safe from small arms fire and shrapnel, the crew were vulnerable to mines, anti-tank guns, and other heavy weaponry. Crews had to be constantly vigilant and aware of their surroundings, scanning for threats and anticipating enemy movements. The crew were also under pressure to perform their duties quickly and efficiently, as a tank's success often meant the success of the entire operation. Crew members faced numerous challenges, from the limited space and constant noise, to the extreme temperatures and toxic atmosphere. The physical toll on the body was significant, as was the constant pressure of being a prized target. Despite these difficulties, tank crews were an essential part of the war effort, and played a crucial role in securing victory for their respective countries. What do you think was the hardest difficulty faced by tank crew during World War II?